President Biden and Social Security. Is it like oil and water, or is it like ice cream and chocolate syrup? Well, I guess we'll find out in this video, so let's get right into it. But if you're new here, or if you haven't done so yet, make sure to subscribe by hitting that button right down below the video, as information continues to change very, very rapidly right now. I'm watching everything closely, and I bring that information back in these short videos so that you can get the latest details hot off the wire as things are being discussed and as they're being announced. So again, thank you so much for joining me. Make sure to subscribe down below. It's totally free to do so, and my dedication to you and this community as a whole is to be here right by your side every single day to help you out and to make sure that you're staying informed with all the latest updates. All right, thanks again. Let's jump right into it. All right, so this is a topic that I certainly want to talk about in this video because just the other day, the president was out with his first State of the Union address, addressing Congress as well as us, the American people. Well, ever since that State of the Union was actually announced just a couple of days ago, I've seen in the comments section on various videos, many of you reaching out saying the president didn't say a single word about Social Security, retirement, SSDI, SSI, VA, monthly benefits, or anything like this. Does this mean that all bets are off when it comes to potential raises to benefits or reform to these very important programs? And will we potentially be getting a raise to our benefits? These are some really good questions, and I totally understand your concerns about all this, and I want to talk about it in this dedicated video because I've seen a lot of you coming out saying, I feel so discouraged right now. The president didn't say a single word about us. Social Security, SSDI, retirement, SSI, beneficiaries. We're feeling left out. We're feeling discouraged. We need assistance right now. We need help. When is the president going to step forward and actually do something for all of us? By the way, when I say all of us, I mean there's about 70 million beneficiaries who receive all of these benefits across the board. So it's a huge percentage of our population here in the country. A lot of people, millions and millions, tens of millions of people. So anyway, let's get into this and talk about it. As I said at the beginning of the video, President Biden and Social Security, are they more resembled to oil and water, as in they repel each other? Or is it more like ice cream and chocolate syrup, where they go together perfectly every single time, right? Now again, maybe you're a caramel person, but the deal is it doesn't really matter. My point is it something that goes together or do they repel? All right, so anyway, let's talk about this State of the Union address as well as President Biden's lack of mentioning anything about Social Security. All right, so here's where we stand as of right now. When it comes to Social Security and SSI benefits, again, I'm going to lump all of these together because essentially it kind of all comes under the same umbrella. Monthly benefits for the low income, people with disabilities, elderly, seniors, people with disabilities, pretty much everybody under these umbrellas. So I kind of want to talk about all of these benefits as just like one unit because essentially it all comes down to kind of the same thing, right? All right, so anyway, let's talk about these benefits and where we stand with the president. So here's what we do know. The Social Security 2100 and the SSI Restoration Act should be getting some attention this year. Now, when I say this year, according to what I've been seeing here with the recent information, with my research and that phone call that I had with a friend here on the channel, Scott. Hey, Scott, if you're watching. But anyway, many of you saw that video from last week where my friend Scott here on the channel, he's been around a while now, he connected with a staffer from one of the Congress members. Well, again, that was just the information from the staffer. However, it was very consistent with the information that I've been finding as well through my research. And here's what we find out, and here's what we know as of now. Now, apparently, within the next month to month and a half or so, again, I say or so very loosely because we know how Congress can get backed up by a long time if they get distracted with other pieces of legislation. So again, I want to make it very clear. This is loosely, we're saying within the next month and a half or so. Apparently, there's going to be some discussion in the House of Representatives in regards to the Social Security 2100. Now, possibly at that same time, they may be bringing the SSI Restoration Act back and discussing that as well, and possibly moving these through Congress simultaneously, like in tandem, right next to each other as two separate bills, or possibly to push them together as one bill. Now, based on the research that I've been finding and everything I've been reading about this, to me, it looks like these will likely be tackled as two separate bills. Why? Because they're focused on two separate programs, Social Security and all the programs encompassed within it, as well as SSI, Supplemental Security Income, which is not Social Security, but it is administered by the Social Security Administration. So, Based on what I've been finding, it looks like these two programs may be making their way through Congress together, kind of like simultaneously side by side, but yet as two separate proposals, two separate bills, because essentially they focus on very different things. Two very important programs, but at the same time, two very different things. So that's what it looks like based on my research. However, now let's quickly talk about the president and his lack of saying anything about these programs in the State of the Union. Now here's the deal. The State of the Union address is basically to give us, the American people, as well as Congress, kind of a little bit of an update as far as what happened the first year of his presidency, and also what's kind of going forward. Well, as we noticed from the State of the Union address, it was basically a reflection of, how great everything has been over the last year, and then, talking about his agenda items and what he is urging Congress to do going forward as far as sending all those pieces of legislation to his desk so he can sign them right away. Again, that's a big if Congress can even do anything going forward. But again, we don't really know about that. That's not really what I want to talk about in this video, but rather I want to talk about Social Security 2100 as well as Social Security as a whole and the SSI Restoration Act, because these are the two big proposals out there right now to reform these programs and possibly even raise benefits for beneficiaries. Now, the simple fact that the president didn't say a single word about these programs in the State of the Union address makes me feel like, don't worry about it. Just because he did not mention it does not mean that they may not come. Now, again, I don't want to make any promises because I have no clue what Congress is going to do going forward. We were also supposed to get the Build Back Better agenda passed 2 months ago, 3 months ago, and it didn't happen. So the simple fact that they say they're going to do something and then they don't follow through, it's like no surprise. We see it all the time, right? But the word on the street and what we're hearing as far as everything going on out there, as far as my research, regardless of what the president says or does not say, more like in this example, it doesn't really matter, right? My point is, it matters, but at the same time, it's okay, because here's the deal. Congress needs to work on these things anyway, completely separate of the president. Now, again, we know that Congress is fully controlled right now by Democrats. The House and the Senate are controlled by Democrats. Therefore, if they work on something, the likelihood of the president supporting it is probably very, very high. The reason I say that is because they have conversations with the president. They know what he's going to support. They're not going to go out there and work on stuff and spend all this time, days, weeks, months working on legislation only to send it to the president and him say, sorry, I don't agree with this. I'm not going to sign it. No, that's not going to happen, especially in a fully controlled Democratic Congress as well as a Democratic president, right? It's just not going to happen. So the point is, Congress needs to come forward and start working on these first. If/when they actually do that this year, again, according to my research and according to everything I've been seeing, it looks like they want to get these done before the midterm election. And again, that's a big if. We have no clue if they'll actually get it done. We've heard them say a lot of things that they've wanted to get done before certain deadlines, and then sure enough, the deadline blows right on past and they don't get their work done. So we've seen that before. So I think all of us at this point are maybe a little bit leery about what Congress says and what they actually want to get done by certain timelines, right? But either way, my point is, I know a lot of you have been feeling really discouraged here over the last day and a half or so, or basically 2 days now, since the president was out with the State of the Union address. But the point is, I wouldn't get too discouraged about it. The reason for it being, just because he didn't mention anything doesn't mean that it's all bets off, everything's off the table, and it's not coming. I wouldn't say that's the case. But at the same time, I don't want to be here and promise anything, because I would never promise anything as far as what Congress has in their hands. I'm not going to do that, because I have no clue what Congress is going to do, and honestly, we've seen them promise so many things previously, and then only never follow through. So, just based on the research, based on what we've been seeing, this is what it looks like Congress may be doing here within the next month, month and a half, or 2 months or so going forward. But remember, it could get delayed. So again, I just want you to know, just because the president didn't say anything about us, I know, it hurts. Honestly, it's a little bit frustrating. It hurts that he didn't mention anything about 70 million people out there in this country right now who are struggling so incredibly badly. But at the same time, we also need to kind of focus on and just kind of keep the course as far as we do know that Congress will probably be taking these bills up here relatively soon and hopefully getting something done. But then, just because Congress brings them up and they start debating these on the floor, possibly making amendments to the bills, again, anything could take place at that point, right? It's kind of a free-for-all once it opens up in Congress. There could be all kinds of amendments made to the bills. they could bring it, debate it, and maybe pass it through the House, and then it fails in the Senate. We've seen that before, right? Maybe it never even makes it through the House. We don't really know. My point is, all we have to do is kind of take the faith of Congress and what they've said and the reporting that we've been hearing here and just kind of say that, okay, we have to just trust that this is what they're going to do going forward. We have to trust that they're going to do their best work on this bill and get it through. And we're going to have to trust that they actually recognize that the low income, the fixed income, seniors, elderly, people with disabilities, and people who are struggling right now, need some additional assistance. We have to trust that that is going to be the focus point of Congress going forward. So that's about all we can do at this point. Even though the president didn't say a word about us, yeah, it hurts. It's never fun to be forgotten about. But at the same time, just because he did not say anything does not mean that it is all bets off and that it's a no-go going forward. That's not the case going forward. So anyway, for those of you that have been asking, I think this should answer it a little bit more clearly going forward. But I've seen a lot of comments going down in the comment section on previous videos here over the last couple of days, reaching out saying, I'm really discouraged. I don't know what to think anymore. The president didn't say a single word about us, and I'm not really sure what to think here. Can you give us some clarity? So this should be some clarity going forward, right? So in this case, I would say more like Social Security and the president are probably not like oil and water. They're probably more like, chocolate and ice cream. But at the same time, those two are like perfectly fit together, right? But at the same time, I don't know if the president and Social Security are like that, but more like they kind of, work together. They're kind of hand in hand. If Congress happens to pass something through to actually pass the Social Security 2100 or the SSI Restoration Act, I would have to imagine that if a Democratic Congress passes it through, it's probably going to be signed into law by a Democratic president, right? But I could be wrong. I don't know. The only thing that will tell us is time. That's the only thing we can do is wait, and time will ultimately prevail. So either way, I'll continue doing the research on it. I'll continue watching everything closely. As I do get more information, of course, I'll bring that to you right here in these videos with these updates, as I truly want to help you out in any way that I can. I hope this helps you out to better understand what is going on, as well as what it may mean as we completely are overlooked when it comes to the State of the Union address. Either way, I'm here for you. I'm thinking about you. I'm talking about you. And I'm doing research for you every single day to help out in any way that I can. So if you haven't done so, make sure to subscribe down below. Share this video with your friends, family, social media. Go back and check out any of the other 2,200 videos right here on the channel. Please enjoy your day. Stay safe out there. And remember, I'm here for you right by your side every single day to help out in any way that I can, as well as make sure that you're staying updated with everything going on. Enjoy, and I'll catch you again later in the